evening, everyone. It's Wednesday night. It's 1 minute past 8, and it's the TNG review show. Yay! I tell you what, I got all my screens mixed up there during that intro bit, and I was putting things all over the place, so we might have flashed up on your screen once or twice as I was getting all my fingers and thumbs all mixed up. But anyway, we are here. We are here. It's Wednesday, and it is time for the TNG review show with my co-host this evening, Maz and Bob. Good evening, Maz.
Hiya. Good evening.
How are you today on this autumn Wednesday afternoon?
I am very good. Thank you very much. Having a very, very busy, stressful worky week, but it's nice to be not working this evening for a change.
Nice to be sat, relaxed, sitting back and talking about some good Star Trek.
Yeah. I
see so far in chat we've got our fellow co-host G-Star, who unfortunately is away on business this evening, but I see he's still joining us in spirit in chat. Hiya, G. Hope you're having a good driving by the looks of it. I hope you have a good journey.
Yeah, that's good multitasking.
Yeah, I see Crazy Kraken's carrying over his commander his commander rank from last week. He's aiming for captain this evening, I think.
Yeah, the thing is, you might have to climb the ranks again, because we'll go through the ensign, lieutenant commander, and captain questions. So yeah, you'll have to re-rank up.
Yeah, I did point that out to him the other day. He was quite disappointed to find that he has to start from the beginning.
He says, what's the starting level? The starting level, well, if you get the first question right, then you're an ensign.
Yeah, that's where you start. I'm just pouring my blood wine. I forgot to pour my blood wine this evening.
Hey, I also have blood wine. Okay. I'm back to my...
oh, you got your goblet back.
Yeah, my Klingon chalice.
Anyway, Kapla.
Kapla. And I was wondering, Monty Man, I remember when we were kids and you had a teach yourself Klingon little cassette tape and stuff.
It's there on the shelf.
You probably don't have a cassette player anymore, but if it came with a dictionary, perhaps you should teach us a word of Klingon each week, and gradually our fan base can learn how to speak Klingon.
Hello, Chewie. Hi, buddy. I don't know if you can just make out Chewie there on the floor.
Yeah. He was going yip 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 earlier in the when we were waiting.
Yeah, it's because I was upstairs. He wasn't happy about it. He was like, "Where are you?" Here it is. Here is the Klingon dictionary. So yeah, maybe we could build in a Klingon word of the week.
Yeah, well, maybe we should start with kapla.
Kapla.
Which, actually Klingons is probably the only word I know, so maybe I'll do this one. But Klingons use it in many different occasions. They might use it as a greeting to people. They might use it saying goodbye. They use it as a toast. And what it actually means, I believe, is success. So, it's just a general kind of positive affirmation, especially if you're going into battle or what have you. And as a toast, they're wishing everybody success. I believe that's right, but I'm not entirely sure.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look at success, shall we? Bear with me.
I should Google it.
Yeah.
Kapla.
Success. Kapla. You're right.
Oh, it is. Oh, well, there you go.
I don't know if you'll be able to see this if I hold it up to the camera. Where are we? Can you read that?
No, it's a bit small.
Oh, you can't read it. It's too small.
Not really.
Anyway, it is. Kapla is success. Yes, well done, Maz McBob. Yes.
So yeah, we'll try and do a Klingon word of the week.
Klingon word of the week. So yeah, we said hello to Crazy Kraken. Karen, Crystal Karen is here as well. Stuplum.
So Stuplum.
Yes. So good evening to you all.
Yes, indeed.
One thing I was going to ask you, just as a little intro chat thing this week. Have you been watching Inspiration 4?
No.
Did you
Have
watch
I
it?
heard of it? No. What is it?
Well, I hadn't really heard of it until it was pretty much over. But there's a documentary about it on Netflix. Inspiration 4 is a space mission run by SpaceX where they've sent 4 civilians into space on
Oh, right.
in a Dragon capsule, and it's to prove that space can be open to anyone now. And the 4 people got chosen through various methods and spent 6 months training. But they were up in the Dragon capsule for 3 days in high orbit. They actually went so far, they went about 50 kilometers past the International Space Station, past Hubble. In fact, aside from the Apollo missions, it was the 5th furthest distance anybody's ever been out.
Crikey.
And that's the 5 Gemini missions that were the proving ground for Apollo. Apart from those missions, this was the furthest anybody's ever been out, and they weren't even astronauts.
Was it civilians plus, a couple of astronauts, or is it just literally all civilians?
All civilians, no astronauts, no professionals at all, just 4 civilians. And the Dragon capsule was completely automated, so they only had to do things if it was something went wrong. So they learned how to do things so that they could cope with an emergency. But for the most part, it was automated. But anyway, if you haven't seen the documentary, the lead up to the launch, it's on Netflix, and I believe there's going to be a part 2 about the actual mission. But I watched them splash down live, come back, and it was quite amazing. But yeah, Inspiration 4.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yes.
Very, very good.
I mean, it's just nice to see that, you got Virgin, and they send Richard Branson into into a little orbit, and you got Blue Origins that sent Bezos into a little orbit, and then you got Musk there in SpaceX. Now he sends 4 civilians the furthest
out in space.
It's just right. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I mean SpaceX, they are a bit further along with a lot of this stuff, aren't they? I guess they've been they've got a bigger installation there, and but yeah, it's all good.
I've just seen.
I told Crazy Kraken's now ensign, so he's Crazy Krakenson. That's good. Love it.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Oh dear, very funny. So yes, this evening we're here obviously to talk about Star Trek: The Next Generation. And we are doing
our favourite thing.
We are talking about Manhunt, the season 2 episode Manhunt tonight. And yeah, the Lwaxana Troi episode. So,
love her or hate her, she's a character.
Yeah, she is a character. So I'll just get on with it, shall I?
Yes.
So the teaser: Enterprise is orbiting. And also, I'm just before I go on with my spiel, to say that as we don't have G-Star this evening, Mazin with Bob's going to be doing the question time.
Yes, goofs, trivia, questions, and scoring. I'm also multitasking.
You're wearing many hats. Many hats this evening. Yes. So the Enterprise is orbiting Antidi-3, where it's picking up 2 delegates to transport to a conference on planet Pacifica, where they'll be given the opportunity to join the Federation. In the transporter room, Picard tells Wes he should be excited as not many people have seen an Antedian before, in the flesh. O'Brien beams them aboard, but when Picard welcomes them, they don't respond. They appear like frozen statues. Picard says it's their preferred way of traveling, to forego the traumas of space travel. They put themselves in a catatonic state. It's not like space travel's that traumatic these days, is it?
Not for everybody else, no, they seem to enjoy it. It's literally what people are choosing to do with their lives.
the Enterprise is kind of like a luxury cruiser by this stage, isn't it? It's like it's got all your mod cons, you know. Yeah. So anyway, but they've done it. It seems like as well, you'd think they would have messaged ahead to say that was going to be the case, so Picard didn't have to be talking to statues. But anyway, the doc scans them and reports that their physical condition is good, though unusual. Wes is curious as to what was in the container that beamed in with them, and it turns out that it's their food, which the doc calls vinegar. I don't know what she said. I think I couldn't find what it was supposed to be called, but when she says it, it's like she says it's vinegar. I was like, I don't know. Their food, and Worf
and they're moving. They appear to be alive.
It appears to be. It's like the gach thing, isn't it? The kind
Gach,
of like
yeah.
it's kind of squirming around in the barrel. Worf admires them for being a handsome race. On the bridge, Wes...
No accounting for taste.
I know. Worf's quite funny in this episode with his sort of admiration of these fish people.
Yeah.
On the bridge, Wes thinks they're strange looking, and Data says that he's prejudiced. The one last human prejudice looks. A shuttle then arrives, carrying Lwaxana Troi. She's now an ambassador representing Beta Z. She signs off with the classic Picard. It's nice to see you still think. It's nice to see you still think of me that way, and you know, which makes him like pull his collar, go oh, what? Sort of thing. He does, and that was the teaser. I mean, why would they put Lwaxana Troi as your like ambassador?
I don't know, liability or what, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, whoever it was who appointed her, she probably, talked to them until like she would go away if they made her ambassador, and then they just conceded.
Yeah. So
Mickey's in the house, and also
Mickey.
Smiler Rainbow.
Oh,
Smiler Rainbow is also in the house.
Yes. Well, that might be good timing. Because it's the end of the teaser. Is it question time?
It is question time.
Question time.
So the question is, and this is an ensign question, so it's worth 25 points.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, what is Lwaxana Troi the heir to? Is it A, the Holy Rings of Beta Z, B, the Sacred Chalice of Rix, C, the Fifth House of Beta Z, or D, all of the above? I will repeat, and sorry, Smiley Rainbow, this is a longish one. What is Lwaxana Troi the heir to? A, the Holy Rings of Beta Z, B, the Sacred Chalice of Rix, C, the Fifth House of Beta Z, or D, all of the above? There we go. And do we have any kinds of...
Mickey was in time for the first question, so he's going to be pretty pleased with that one.
Yeah. Well done, Mickey.
Yeah. Sorry, Stu Plum. Yeah. your reign might come to an end. Yeah.
Yeah,
A,
that's true. Yeah.
B, Sacred Chalice of Rix. C, the Sacred House of something or another.
The Fifth House of Beta Z, or D, all of the above.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good try, Smiler Rainbow. You did pretty well there, I think.
So the only sort of bit of trivia that I have based on this little intro bit while people answer is I don't know if you knew that one of the Antedians is a guest star, like a cameo person who's a fan of the show. Did you know?
Yes.
It's Mick Fleetwood, who's from the band, or he's the drummer and founder and leader of the band Fleetwood Mac. And apparently, as part of this, I mean, he was such a fan; he really wanted to be on the show, knowing he wouldn't be recognised. But and apparently, even agreed to shave off his trademark big shaggy beard in order to don all the prosthetics and everything of the costume. So yeah, that's quite
There
cool.
you go. Mick Fleetwood.
So we've got 2 Ds. Has Mickey answered yet?
A double D.
Still Mickey and Kraken to answer, I believe.
Right. Well.
And we've got an E from Smiler. All of the naked wedding people, which is a commentary to the fact that Betazoids, traditional weddings, everybody is naked, including the guests.
Yeah, everybody goes naked at those things.
And Mickey says it's A, the holy rings of B to Z. And Crazy Krakenzin goes for D. So I think that's everybody answered. So
can I answer? Can I give my answer?
You can. Yes, you can answer as well.
I am with Mickey. I think it's A, the holy rings of Beta Z.
That is correctamundo.
Yeah.
Sorry to the rest of you guys. So Lwaxana Troi is actually what is she the heir to?
Yes.
So she is actually the daughter of C, the 5th house of Beta Z.
Yep.
She is the holder
of the sacred chalice
B,
of
the
Rix.
sacred chalice of Rix.
Yeah.
And is the heir, which is the question, to the holy rings of Beta Z, which was A.
Yes.
So Mickey and Montyban get their rank of ensign and are on 25 points.
Sorry, Crazy. You have to wait for the next question, mate.
Oh, sad face from Crazy.
Sad Crazy Kraken noises.
Never had all the above last time, so Mickey's doing it. Mickey's dabbing.
Oh, there we go.
Victory lap.
Victory.
So there we go.
Yeah, there we go. So Lwaxana beams on board with a manservant Hom. She beams in kneeling down and panics that her legs have gone, which I thought was quite funny. She's like, "Where are my legs?"
It's a bit weird though. She was on a shuttlecraft, right?
Yeah.
And wouldn't the normal thing be just to dock the shuttlecraft?
Yeah.
So why would they transport somebody who doesn't like transporting? Seems a bit odd. Anyway.
It's so they can have her in the transporter room, and then she turns around and she's startled by the Antideans. And she says, "Oh my gosh, the last time I saw something like that, it was being served on a plate."
Ooh. Kraken, who is apparently playing Fortnite whilst watching, is really on the ball and says, "Do we have any pictures, please?"
Oh. Look at that. Crazy Kraken for the win. There you go.
There we go. There's the Antedians.
There are,
Big fish people. Fleetwood Mac.
As you were talking about the fish people and Fleetwood Mac, I'm looking at them on my screen going, "Oh, yeah, look, there they are." Completely unaware that nobody else can see what I'm looking at. So,
well done, Kraken.
Well done, Crazy. Thank you for that. Keeping us in
order.
order.
He went off Fortnite, so he's all dialed into us. That's nice.
He's dialed in to get his promotion now. Yeah. Oh, and like Stuplum saying, like the stream. Yes. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yes.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, we've got 10 people watching at the moment. That's exciting.
It's a record.
Well, we don't often get into double figures, do we?
We have done before, but not for a little while.
Yeah.
So, I'm happy about that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's very good. Okay, so let's carry on. Yeah, so she's commenting that those people there look like something that should be served on a plate. And that's the person Beta Z chose as their ambassador to this. She doesn't know that they're in a catatonic state, does she? But anyway, she compliments Picard on his legs. And Riker this time offers to carry her luggage after Picard declines. But he doesn't find it any easier than Picard did earlier in season 1. I think it was season 1. She asks Deanna in her mind if Riker was still hers, but Deanna tells her that humans don't own each other like that anymore. But Lwaxana thinks that they should bring it back. They get to the quarters and Riker struggles to put the bag down. And then in the background, you see Hom just come along and just pick it up like it doesn't weigh anything. And just like walks off into the bedroom with it, which I thought was quite funny. On leaving, Lwaxana invites Picard to a Betazoid dinner of greeting. An ambassadorial function, she tells him. And he says he's looking forward to it. He lies. Deanna then disagrees with her mum about how she sees men as a commodity. But again, she disagrees. On the bridge, Wes is having a laugh with Riker and Data about hearing that Troi's mum complimented Picard on his legs. Riker says she knows what's on your mind and she lets you know what's on hers, to which Data responds with the appropriate fake laughter. Have we seen Data do that in that way before? I don't know.
I think he did it in one other one. Yeah. Was it like a series 1 where he did a laugh? I think Gary found it, or G-Star found it really funny.
Picard's not amused that they're gossiping about him on the bridge, and so tells them off. And then on leaving the bridge, Picard tells them that it will be dress uniform at dinner this evening, gents, and leaves, and they all end up like looking at each other and go, "What dinner?
What dinner?"
Uh-oh. Yeah.
And speaking of dress uniform, Mickey asks why those squid people have like a long dress and a short dress. Could it be male and female? It could well be. It could be a fashion choice. Could be different type of uniform. Could be all sorts of things. But good question.
This one on the right, you can't see my. I say this one, you can't see my mouse.
The one on the right.
The one on the right. Maybe he's hiding something.
Oh yeah, maybe.
On the way to the function, Picard bumps into the doc and asks her if she's not attending the function. Doc's like, "Oh, I've already eaten, but thanks for the invite." And Picard's now like, "Oh, this is all a bit sus." And then upon entering, he hands Hom what looks like a bottle of Romulan ale. And Hom just downs it. He's just like, "Oh, thank you. Look. You sort of sit there for a minute whilst watching Hom drink this entire... I mean, he must be just good at that guy. He just glugged it away.
Not quite. Because when you then saw it, when you saw it from below, you could see that in a ring, it's one of those ones. So it had like a vacuum in the middle, and then there was only liquid on the outside, so it looked fuller than it was.
Very clever. Very
good trick. But by showing the bottom of it, they kind of gave it away.
Yeah. So he downs it and then sort of gives Picard a bow as if to say, "Thank you very much." Picard asks Hom, when are the others arriving? This is like Picard now grasping at straws in vain hope, when's everybody else arriving? To which Hom just shakes his head. He's like, oh no. And points to the archway where Lwaxana's there, leaning like majestically against the arch, rocking what looks like a nightdress. I don't know if we've got a picture of this. Oh no, that's them arriving. Look, with their bucket of vinegar.
Vinegar.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm rubbish with these pictures, aren't I? There's
he's doing the. Is it Riker maneuver number 1 or 2?
This is Riker maneuver number 2. Yes.
Yeah, that's it. I was thinking as well, they gave him, obviously it was a fake heavy case to lift, but you'd mentioned before about how, he actually suffers from back problems. So yeah, it must have been a very sort of fake heavy case. Otherwise it would have hurt his back.
It was. Jonathan Frakes does a pretty good job of selling it as a heavy, as a heavy case.
Yeah.
That's probably because his bad back.
Holding it on the legs.
His bad back probably doesn't allow him to lift anything heavier than that anyway.
Yeah.
So he probably wasn't acting. He's probably like, "Oh God, my back." Yeah. Oh dear. So yes, Lwaxana there is there in a night dress. Picard puts on his best diplomatic smile, but you can literally see the fear in his eyes. And that's the end of Act 1. I think in that shot, sexy lady Lwaxana, I think she looks quite a lot like in Ghostbusters. What's her name? Oh gosh, Sigourney Weaver in Ghostbusters, when she's like when she gets possessed. Because
Yeah,
her
yeah.
hair's all kind of like, out here, and she's like wearing lace. It's like she reminded me of Sigourney Weaver from Ghostbusters when she's possessed. Anyway, yeah, so that was the end of Act 1. We're rocking through the acts. Act 1 equals short. Yes.
Yes. And Kraken said that that is LEDs are flashing red and blue, and it's like it matches our uniform, so it's like we're kind of there in spirit. And Mickey Hurley says, "Sexy lady Lwaxana." I don't think he really means that. I think that was a joke, but who knows?
You never know.
Who knows?
If you're of a certain age, I don't think
if you like that kind of cougar type.
I don't think Mickey's quite there yet, to be honest. But have we got a question time for this part, or is it a bit later on the next question?
It's a bit later on.
All right,
it's
okay.
when they're sort of more into dinner.
Right, okay, then we'll carry on with Act 2 then. She tells Picard that he doesn't have to worry about whether there are any other men in her life because competition brings out the best in human males. Picard's like, what? He now understands that where this dinner's headed, so decides to try to derail the evening by bringing up the interesting fact that Hom bangs a cymbal every time she puts something in her gob. And it's the ritual of thanks for that morsel of food, and wonders whether there are any other cultures that do that, and thinks, I tell you what, that's so interesting, let's contact Data and see if Data knows. Data confirms there are several cultures that do that sort of thing, and some smash rocks together and things like that. And Picard's like, that's great, Data, why don't you come down here and tell us all about it? And Data's like, oh, great. I'm being invited to a dinner. So he's like, I'll be right there. So
it was a super cunning ploy by Picard.
Super, yeah. You don't get to be the captain of the Enterprise without being able to get yourself out of tricky diplomatic situations.
Exactly. Ever the diplomat, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Data arrives and regales them with interesting facts of cultures that bores Lwaxana to death. When Data finally finishes, Picard asks about, what about the chemical composition of brown dwarf stars? Which excites Data, but not Lwaxana. She's like, gosh, no. In the corridor, Deanna's walking with the doc and starts telling her about her mum's condition. Basically, Betazoid women, when they reach middle age, become fully sexualized. Pulaski is like, oh dear, I saw Picard heading to her quarters earlier. Should be warning. Deanna's like, oh, should we warn him? But the doc says, actually, it'll be great for his reflexes and agility. And Deanna's like, really? She's like, no. I mean, to keep one step ahead of your mum. And she's like, oh, right. Back in Lwaxana's quarters, Data's giving a PowerPoint presentation on the orbital velocities of stars, and Lwaxana looks like she's waiting for the sweet embrace of death. When Deanna arrives, and Picard uses her arrival as an excuse to get the hell out of there, he lies that he's needed on the bridge. Data offers to stay, but Lwaxana's like, hell no, you're needed as well. And in the corridor, after making their escape, once they were around the corner, Picard takes a breather, and turns to Data and is like, you'll never know how much I owe you for that. And Data's completely none the wiser. And he's like, oh, I've got more anecdotes if you want. He's like, later.
Oh, bless him. Such an innocent.
He is. Is there question time now?
Yeah, there is. There can be. It's pictures. Mickey says.
Oh.
But yeah, G Star's like just going what with regard to Mickey finding Lwaxana attractive, but Mickey says, "Lol, nah, not really."
Yeah.
Bless. Right, so next questione. This is a Lieutenant Commander question for 50 points. During dinner with Lwaxana, Picard contacts Data to inquire about other races' eating habits. What is the name of the species that Data mentions, and what is their similar ceremony? Is it the allegory and spitting after each mouthful of food? Is it the ulans and two large stones being struck together? Is it the pakleds and using a gong at the serve of each dish? Or is it the antiquans and blowing bubbles after each mouthful? So again, sorry, Smiler. So what is the species that Data mentions, and what is their similar ceremony whilst eating? The allegory and spitting after each mouthful of food, the ulans and two large stones being struck together, the pakled and using a gong at the serve of each dish, or the antiquans and blowing bubbles after each mouthful. That is the question. Karen's just got to go and take a phone call.
She's answered already, though, so she's good.
Has put in her answer, so that's good.
Yes.
Just waiting on the other answers. So in terms of any other bits and bobs, apparently this episode contains one of the very few times Picard calls Deanna by her first name.
Right.
And apparently this is the first episode where the dress uniforms have rank pips.
Oh.
I don't know. That sounds like a geeky you question.
Yeah, I honestly, I didn't notice.
We now have 4 Bs as answers. What would your answer be, Montalban? You did actually say it in your commentary.
Crazy Scott. What was the question? He missed it. By the way, but he's answering a B. He's seen which way the wind. I did kind of give the game away.
A little bit, yeah. So basically, everybody gets promoted to Lieutenant Commander, and everybody gets 50 points, which puts most people in second with 50 points, and then Mickey and Montalban are in the lead with 75 points. Yeah. So everybody is a commander.
Well done, everyone.
Well done.
So, Lieutenant Commander, yeah, Lieutenant Commander.
Lieutenant Commander. Or Lieutenant Krakenander. I don't know.
Krakenander, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, well done, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. G's like, Monty said it, so you'll get it now. So Deanna wants to know why her mum came aboard whilst in this condition, but her mum says she has it all under control. About going after Picard, Deanna tells her mum to not even think about it, but she replies, why not? He was thinking about it all through dinner. Later in the ready room, Deanna tells Picard and Riker about her mum's condition, and Riker's like, yes, you told me about that. When Betazoid women reach a certain age, they grow through this thing which quadruples their sex drive. To which Deanna's like, yeah, more than that. And he's like, more? She's like, yeah, I didn't want to frighten you. It's like, oh, Christ. Deanna tells Picard that to cope with it, she has to put... To cope with it on this mission, she's decided to put all her sexual tension into one male who will one day become her husband. And
whether they like it or not.
That's the face. That's the face that we see here on this picture of being told that he's going to be Lwaxana's husband. And Riker congratulates him. Congratulations, sir. But he doesn't find it amusing. He's like, it's not funny. So he decides that the best thing to do is make himself unavailable and go hide in a Dixon Hill simulation in the holodeck. Not thinking.
Clever idea.
Kind of clever. Apart from if you do.
Mickey says he's in fear for his life.
He is. I mean,
yes, I would say so.
those eyes say it all, don't they?
The thing is like Lwaxana Troi, I mean, she's like pretty much a randy bugger most of the time anyway, right? I mean, it's not like she's starting from a normal level to be quadrupled or more. So
No.
yeah, it's a bit cray cray.
Yeah. It's scary. Unfortunately, on this ship, you could go, computer, locate Captain Picard. Captain Picard is on the holodeck.
Yes, you can. Maybe she'll figure that out later.
It even says it in Lwaxana's voice. So she'd be like she's talking to herself. Anyway. He enters the holodeck and greets Madeline, his receptionist. He goes into his office to relax. We got some Dixon Hill. No, we don't. He goes into his office and relax. Elsewhere, Lwaxana is not pleased that Picard is now unavailable to her, so she tells Deanna that she's going to go with Plan B. In the holodeck, a case comes walking in by the name of Slade Bender. He ends up trying to kill Picard. So Picard pauses the program. He tries to adjust the parameters, but each attempt ends up being one violent scenario after another. The second guy is Gowron.
Yes.
Scarface. He tries to get Dix to do a job, but that turns violent, so Picard has to pause the program again. The next time, Slade's back, but this time with a machine gun to gun him down. Again, he has to pause the program. But yeah, I did spot Gowron in the middle of that. I was like, I recognize those eyes.
Yeah, he wasn't in it very much, and that was his first appearance. But I don't know why. I mean, I've never really looked him up, but I've always assumed because he does Gowron with a French accent for some reason. I've always just assumed he was a French dude, but no, I think he's from I don't know, from New York. But yeah, I wonder why he did Gowron with a French accent. But it's cool though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Forgive and forget. He does such a great. He's like Gowron is just an excellent character.
Yeah.
But also, obviously, as Dixon goes in there, or as Picard goes in there, and his receptionist says, "Oh, you're looking at me like you haven't seen me for a year," because of course it has been a year since he last went in there.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
that was like a nice little sort of cheeky comment joke.
I missed that. I didn't get that. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So yeah, I think he just ends up leaving the program paused and sits back in his chair like, forget it. In the transporter room, Worf is still in awe of the fish people and thinks that even in this state they have a certain dignity. But Wes is like, if you say so. Worf asks Wes, is that what you thought of me when you first saw me? And Wes is like, yeah, sort of. But now as I've got to know, I've realised you're handsome for a Klingon. And I'm like, oh, thanks. Then Lwaxana enters.
Backhanded compliment.
Yeah. Lwaxana's like enters the transporter room. And she's on the prowl for a mate. And she's starting to eye up Wesley. But she decides she can't wait that long for him to mature. She goes for Worf, but then she finds that she actually, whilst his violent thoughts are alluring, she's used to human male company. So she writes Worf off, and then she asks Hom who's next, and Hom's like, it's like, oh yeah, off we go. They go off to find Geordie. Yeah.
In chat, they're saying he's either in fear for his life, or maybe in fear of a wife, or in fear of a wife that will steal his life. G-Star says he was in Platoon. I take it that's about what's he called? Thingy Riley, the guy that plays Gowron. Yeah,
he was. Yeah, you spot his eyes anywhere.
Yeah. Total bug eyes.
I don't know why Hom had to do that to say Geordie, because she reads Hom's mind. They don't like verbally communicate usually. Picard decides to leave the office in the holodeck and says goodbye to Madeline, who he forgot was still paused. So he's still talking to her, but the holodeck's still on pause. So he's like, oh, got to unpause her. She asks him if he's going to Rex's bar. Picard thinks that might sound like a good idea. But Madeline says, oh, he asked Madeline if she wants to go with him. And she was surprised because he's never asked her to go to the bar before. And then she gives him a gun. Because if you're going to Rex's bar, you're going to need it. And that was the end of Act 3.
And he looks quite pleased about that, even though, previously he was saying that the whole thing was a bit too violent.
Yeah. Apparently it's question time. Question time.
Yes, yeah, it is question time. So this one is a commander question for 75 points. And there's only 3 multiple choices this time, so you've got a more than 25% chance this time. When Picard enters Dixon Hill's office on the holodeck, his reception tells him he has a number of calls waiting on his desk. How many calls does he have waiting? And this one will be much easier for Smiley Rainbow. Is it A, 4, B, 3, or C, 2?
It's not going to be easier for Smiler Rainbow because she's looking at me in my office.
Oh, well, that would be super easy for her then because she won't have to do it.
Is it A?
So when Picard enters Dixon Hill's office on the holodeck, the receptionist tells him he has some calls waiting. How many calls does he have waiting? Is it A, 4, B, 3, or C, 2?
A, 4, B, was it 3?
B, 3, or C, 2?
C, 2. There you go.
Stu Plum has answered and gone for C. Still waiting on the other answers. I think I've got a few bits and bobs about Dixon Hill here. Slade Bender, the first guy that came in, says, they found Alva face down in the river. Sorry, I don't know what kind of accent that was supposed to be.
I don't know.
Face down in the river. So this is San Francisco, so there are no rivers. But, it might just be an expression of the time. Who knows? But it should have been face down in the bay.
In the bay, yeah, because it's on the lake, isn't it?
Yes. What else? When he enters his office and turns on the radio, it immediately begins playing, but apparently radios at that time would have needed some time to warm up before playing anything.
Right.
But I guess that's more of a slight holodeck, maybe doesn't quite get it accurate or doesn't want to be inconvenient for the holodeck players. One of the people, when they're paused, moves about, but I mean, that's quite common. Robert O'Reilly, we mentioned, who plays Gowron. And I think, and apparently when Dixon Hill looks out of his office window, it's footage from an old movie, which is used to simulate the streetscape.
Right.
I think that's about it on the Dixon Hilly type trivia.
Have we got all the answers in?
We might do. We've got Stu Plum. Oh, yeah, we've got Stu Plum and Mickey. We don't have Karen or Crazy Kraken yet.
Right. Give him a little
Kraken has now answered C, so it's just Karen left. Do you want to start on the rest of the narration and we'll give Karen a minute or two?
We can do, can't we?
Yeah.
So we're going into Act 4. Rex's bar, it all goes quiet as Dix and Madeline enter. Rex is like, what do you know? What do they say? Which I guess is something bartenders just say. Rex is worried about another world war, so Picard goes on to tell them about the aftermath of the war and how it's a jumpstart for technology and improvements throughout the world. And basically, he should have said spoiler alert at the beginning. Rex thinks Picard's had too much to drink already, so don't know whether to pour him another one. But he does. He pours him his usual, which Picard remembers is a Scotch neat. Madeline gives him a cigarette, which he kind of looks at and doesn't quite know what to do with. Picard realizes he doesn't have any money, so asks Rex if he can put it on his tab. And whilst Rex is worried about the size of Dix's bar tab, he's... sorry. Oh, I don't know if we've...
That hasn't quite happened yet.
Yeah, we haven't quite got to the pictures. I'll leave it on that one anyway. Although he is worried about the bar tab, he's got other things to worry about. And what he's worrying about tonight is Jimmy Cuso. And that's why he brought Dix to the bar. Jimmy Cuso was coming by and Rex wanted Dix there so they could face him together. It turns out that Rex and Dix put Jimmy away from their testimonies, and he's now coming back for revenge. On the bridge, Pulaski signals that the Antiadians are now in sickbay. They've been transferred from the transporter room. When Lwaxana enters the bridge, as you can see here, and Troi tells her, "You can't just stroll onto the bridge." And Lwaxana's like, "I didn't. I used the turbo tubey thing." She's looking for the captain, but they say he's unavailable. And she says, "That's okay. I'm after someone else now," looking at Riker. And Troy's like, "No, you don't." She's like, "Why not?" Pulaski signals again to say that Antiadians are now coming around. So Riker goes to inform the captain. Lwaxana says, "Well, that's good. You can tell him the good news," and informs the crew that her and Riker will now be getting married on Beta Z to a traditional ceremony. Dun, 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 dun. Which was pretty much news to Riker.
Yeah. And he also has that slightly shocked, slightly scared look like Picard did earlier.
Yeah. Sort of, Lwaxana, brings that sort of look into men's eyes.
She certainly does. And so I think Karen said earlier she had to go do something anyway. So I think we'll do the results. So we have C, C, and C. And you are all correct, Amundo. So that is upgrades to Commander for Kraken, for Mickey, and for Stuplum. Oh, Montyban, I forgot to ask you. That's fine. You shouldn't win it anyway because you're the host. So that's Kraken with another 50 points is on 100. Oh, so is it 50 points?
Of course, I would have totally have said C.
It's 75 points, actually. So Kraken with another 75 points is on 125. Stuplum is also on 125. And then Mickey has nudged into the lead with 150.
Well done, everyone, for another good question. And 49 minutes in, and we're on the last act already.
Super slick.
Riker turns to Lwaxana and is like, "I don't know how to tell you this, but Lwaxana's already fussing about," and walks off talking about how they can discuss the details later. She needs to leave and prepare for the wedding and heads off to the turbo lift. Troi goes to follow her mum to set her straight, but Riker stops her and says, "We'll leave it to Picard later." And Troi calls him a coward for not dealing with it right there and then because he's scared. Data asks Riker if he could come to the holodeck with him to see Picard, but he'll need a couple of minutes, and Riker agrees. Data looks really excited to be going to the holodeck. Like, they need to give that chap a bit more time off. Just because he's an android doesn't mean he needs to be on the bridge 24 hours a day.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Karen, you missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, we should give her the points because it might have been lag on the chat, I'd imagine.
Yeah, go on then. Yes. So, back down in Rex's bar, they're in conversation when an ominous shadow appears at the door. And they're all thinking, is that the guy, Jimmy Cuso, who's come to deal with them? But the door opens, and it's Data and Riker.
Data looking very dapper in his suit.
He's looking very dapper. They tell him that we can go, well, it's not quite there, but we'll go on to that because it's in the bar. They tell Picard that the delegates are waking, so he's got to leave. Picard tells Rex and Madeline not to worry, he'll be back before Jimmy Cuso gets here because he'll just pause the program. Rex convinces them all to have one last drink before they go, so Picard introduces Riker as Nails from Chicago and Carlos from Mexico. Picard introduces Rex as Rex because it turns out that he doesn't have another name. He's like, what's your surname? He's like, I haven't got one. They obviously never gave him a second name in the books. So that was that.
Yeah.
Riker tells Picard Lwaxana is now after him. Meanwhile, Lwaxana has changed outfits into something that has more ruffles than a pug's face, and decides you can see it. You can see it here. Look, and decides she wants to show it to Riker. And luckily, she's now remembered that the computer will tell you exactly where people are. And in this case, doesn't even tell you, gives you little directions on the panels in the corridor.
And as you say, there is that surreal moment where Michelle Barrett is both the voice of Lwaxana Troi and the voice of the computer. So she is basically talking to herself.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the bar, this time Rex sees this hulking shadow in the doorway and is like, good God, what's that? But it turns out it's Hom and Lwaxana. And as she walks in, Rex is like, I bet that there's the big bucks dame that Nails was talking about earlier. And Lwaxana is not happy to see Picard. But she's not happy to see that he's been hiding out in the bar, in this dusty bar all afternoon. But she comes to the terms with the fact that Riker doesn't want her either. And sort of sits sulking at the bar. And then she starts up a conversation with Rex. Rex is like, why would someone as beautiful as you want these losers? Lwaxana thinks that he's really interesting. She doesn't get any thoughts from him at all. He's so strong and exotic. So they go off to the corner of the bar to have a date. And Riker asks whether they should tell her. But Picard thinks that they should just give her the moment. In sickbay, the fish people have awoken and they are agitated. Worf introduces them to their food and they tuck right in. They literally stick their heads in the bowls and they're like,